Boko Haram kills soldiers, abducts women, children in Borno. Electricity shortage hit hard across Nigeria. Small businesses struggle. Senate summons Carry, others over alleged 210 trillion unaccounted for in NNPCL. And on the foreign scene, at least 87 dead after U.S. submarine sinks Iranian warship near Sri Lanka. Hello, good evening and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we begin with security matters. Suspected Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists have attacked the military base and an internally displaced persons camp in Ngoshi, killing soldiers and civilians and abducting over 100 women and children. The assault took place on Wednesday, shortly after Muslims broke their fast, according to local security and sources. The attackers overpowered troops at 82 Division TF Battalion, ransacked the community and set ablaze military vehicles and ammo tanks. Senator Ali Ndume confirmed the deaths and called for a major military operations in Sambisa Forest and Mandara Mountains. Local sources said the militants killed the town's chief imam, abducted women and children, and forced residents to flee to near Polka, citing opposition to government resettlement efforts as a motive. The attack underscores the continued security challenges in the region and the urgent need for coordinated military and humanitarian responses. Now joining us via phone call to give more update is the Media Trust Northeast Bureau Chief, Hamis Matazu. Good evening and thank you so much for joining me.
Good evening.
How many people were killed, or should I say, can you provide more details about the attack?
The casualty figure is still unspecific because up till now, the people that fled the town, the residents have not returned. Many of them are still in Pulka. But what is certain, based on the interviews I had with the people, is that the chief imam and some elders in the town were slaughtered by the insurgents. And they said about 9 soldiers were killed during the attack. This is what we have for the casualty figure for now, actually.
Okay, have the government, state government, or the military confirmed or responded to the incident?
Not for now. The military had not, but I saw an online Zagazola saying that the military had responded using air component to attack the insurgents while retreating from the attack location in around Mandara Mountain. And he said that about 50 of them were neutralized. That's what I can say for now. But up till now, we have not gotten any update or any statement from the military, both ground and air military on the attack, actually.
Okay, what support is being provided for the displaced residents?
In the morning, I can say in the afternoon, when speaking to the senator representing the constituency, Senator Ali Ndume, he made mention that the commandant in the area went to the incident location. He went there to assess the level of damage, and he reached out to SEMA and the local government chairman to move to Pulka, where the displaced people were taking refuge, to bring food items and other things that will help them, that will shelter them in that particular location. You know, Pulka is just kilometers away from where the incident happened, and I think they share marriage and their intermarriage and relationship with the people there, and I believe they are hosting them in that place. Based on what I heard from the people there.
All right. Thank you so much, Hamizu Matazu, for joining us on the News Hour.
Thank you.
Now also joining us in the studio to discuss the resurgence of Boko Haram attack is the Media Trust Deputy Editorial Director, Hamza Idris. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining me in the studio.
Good evening. Nice to be here.
We are seeing reports of increased attacks by Boko Haram ISWAP during the holy months of Ramadan. Is this something that has happened historically, or is this a new trend?
Well, when you check the social media and even mainstream media, many are expressing surprise that this is happening during the month of Ramadan. But the truth is that it's not new. They have been doing it over the years. So it's not unusual, even though it's an unusual occurrence, it's reprehensible, but they have been doing this for a very, very long time.
Why do extremist groups sometimes escalate attacks during religious periods like Ramadan?
People are relaxed. This is one. And then secondly, they always want to emphasize, make loud noise so that the world will hear their mischief. So during Ramadan, high concentration of people, going to mosque to pray, observe Taraweeh, and then in the last 10 days, doing the night prayers and all that. So they take advantage of that, believing that by the time they kill people, they attack people, the news will go everywhere. And then for them, they are making a huge success, even though they claim that they are doing religious acts. But Islam does not, agree to their way of doing things.
From a security perspective, is the timing of these attacks deliberate or coincidental?
Well, I'm not a security person. I'm a security reporter, and I have covered the Boko Haram over the years. I know that even security operatives, they tend to be on the alert. But then, terrorists, they tend to be a mile away or ahead of people, including security operatives. And sometimes while you try to contain them in one area, they now move to the other. Let me contextualize this. Goza is in southern part of Borno. It borders Sambisa forest. From there you get to Alagarno. On the other side you have the Mandara mountain bordering Cameroon and all that. And then these localities, Ngoshe, the people are just relocating. Many of them, because of spontaneous attacks in the past, they relocated. But then the Borno State government, with support of the federal government and other non-governmental organizations and international donors, they have rebuilt the towns. They have provided some basic privileges of existence, like shelter, hospitals, schools for the children, and all that. The people are just trying to recover, pick up their pieces, and then move on with their life. So the terrorists now, they struck there. They attacked them, and you can see from the bulletin, over 100 women, children, and the elderly, they have abducted them. And where have they taken them to? Nearby Sambisa forest. It's clear, and even the stories you are reading, you see that, the aerial reconnaissance and all that is to contain them. But they have taken these people away. And only God knows when they will return. So this is the context. It is the location and then the timing. They took the people by surprise. They just broke their fast when they now attacked them and then killed, maimed, and abducted.
Okay, so how has the security situation in northeast Nigeria evolved in recent months that could explain this resurgence?
To be honest with you, it is precarious because we have contacts there, and here at Media Trust, we've been on top of it. We've been reporting it. In major towns, even in Maiduguri, let me be honest with you, even in Maiduguri, very unlikely for you to drive or to trek, let's say 30 kilometers radius, and then you now tell yourself that you are safe. And the same thing if you go to Bama, if you go to Goza. These are major and or in some cases cosmopolitan areas, but few meters or few kilometers away from some of these major towns and cities, you are on your own. Because, even the security operators, what they are doing now is to actually live in what they call super camps. Because living in smaller clusters exposes them to danger. It exposes them to massive attacks by the terrorists. So they tend to now have massive sanctuary in a way. That is the military. So they call it super camp. I don't know whether they have changed the name, but then this is what they used to do. And it has its advantage and disadvantage at the same time. The advantage is that not all the time they will be overrun by the terrorists. Unfortunately, they have done that in Ngoshi this time around. But in some instances, they find it difficult to attack them. Then the disadvantage is that by the time they subdue the military, now the locals become easy prey because they will just attack them, kill them, maim, and then steal what they will like to take away, and then leave, victims left, right, and center. So it's a very serious situation. And as Senator Ndume said, for this to stop, we have to take the fight to the terrorists. You can't just wait for your enemy to come to say you will now repel. In most of the cases, they will say, okay, we have repelled. After the attack, we have dispatched, fighter jets, and then they have decimated them. These are technical military language. Assuming we recapture the places that these terrorists are hibernating all the time, it will be very, very difficult. It will be unlikely for them to always have their way when they want to attack either the military formation or the civilian population.
Before we let you go, we are seeing a reorganization, or should I say, are we seeing a reorganization or regrouping of Boko Haram or ISWAP that is leading to these attacks?
They have been there. In Borno, for instance, when you go to the northern parts of the country, that is the shores of the Lake Chad, there are many tumbus, that is islands. That is where they live. As we speak, we don't have military formation in those places. And then they are having a field day. Farmers are paying them to access their farms. Fishermen, if they go fishing and come back, they share it with them. They pay taxes. This is in the northern fringes of Borno. And then in the southern part where we had the unfortunate incident of Wednesday, you have the Sambisa forest. From there, you have the Mandara Mountains, and then you also have the Alagarno forest and all that. As I said earlier, you only have peace, even that peace is of the graveyard. That is in cities and cosmopolitan areas. So that is the situation that we are in now in Borno. But then, as you rightly said, whether it's resurgence or whatever, for me, it's not actually resurgence. Sometimes they hibernate, and then when they realize that troops have been moved to other parts, they now take the battle to where the Nigerian government or the military authorities evacuate the troops in order to go and salvage other vulnerable areas. So it's like we are trading our security operatives between North Central, Northwest, and Northeast. If there is massive attack, you hear it from government that, okay, we have asked a battalion to move to Ngoshi or to Polka. Then if there is attack in maybe Kogi or in Plateau State, it is the people or the troops that are actually, securing certain location, which is also a red spot, that will be evacuated to now be taken to another area that, an incident just happened. And we cannot continue like this. It means there is a wallowing up in the security architecture. There must be more recruitment. There must be more equipping of the troops. There should be also change in tactics. As I said, we can't continue to wait for the enemy to come and then we now repel. or after the attack, we now say, okay, we have followed them and we have decimated them. We have been doing this since 2009 when we had the first incident of Boko Haram under this democratic dispensation.
Thank you so much, Hamza Idris, for contributing on the News Hour.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now move on to more stories. Still on security, 2 police officers have been killed after gunmen attack a border checkpoint along the Bakirua-Maje Road in Kebbi State. The attack occurred in Bagudu local government area, where the assailants reportedly stormed the checkpoint in large numbers and opened fire on officers on duty. Eyewitnesses say the gunmen overpowered the policemen before setting the tent used at the checkpoint ablaze. Confirming the incident, Police Public Relations Officer Bashir Usman said 2 officers lost their lives during the assault, while the attackers also destroyed structures. At the post, the latest incident is 3rd reported attack along the Bakirua-Maje border corridor in recent times. Earlier assault in the area reportedly claimed the lives of personnel from the Nigeria Customs Service and the Nigeria Immigration Service, raising fresh concerns over security along the border roads. Nigeria's electricity supply is facing further disruptions following a sharp decline in power generation. Data from Nigeria Independent System Operator, NISO, shows that generation dropped to 2,898 megawatts yesterday, an 11% shortfall from Monday's 3,222 megawatts. The decline has forced DISCOs to implement widespread load shedding across business districts nationwide. NISO attributed the drop to persistent gas supply constraints affecting several terminal power plants. Current data indicates that plants require 1,588 million standard cubic feet of gas per day, but are receiving only 40% of that volume. Authorities say they are working with GENCOs and gas suppliers to restore generation and are taking operational measures to maintain grid stability while managing the ongoing shortfall. Nigeria is again grappling with a major electricity supply crisis, with many communities facing long outage and fewer hours of power each day. The situation is hitting homes and businesses hard as small-scale operators turn to costly alternatives to stay open. In the Federal Capital Territory, artisans and welders who depend on steady electricity say the worsening supply is driving up their daily expenses and putting pressure on their livelihoods. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail reports.
The drop in electricity supply across Nigeria is taking a toll on residents and small businesses. In Abuja, the nation's capital, erratic power supply has become part of daily life for many artisans. At welding workshops across the city, work often stops the moment power from the national grid goes off to keep their businesses running. Many welders say they now rely on petrol generators, but running those generators comes at a high cost. In the Jabi area of the FCT, some artisans say they now spend between 7,000 and 10,000 naira every day on petrol to power their equipment.
I'm having seriously challenge about NEPA light, electricity light. So if by God we can get improvement from electricity, I will be one of the first person to be very happy so that I can improve my job.
The fuel consumption is too much. The electricity is very, very important. We need them because they help us in whatever we do. We can't be starting generator every day. You know the cost of fuel now.
As artisans struggle to cope with the outages, some residents blame faulty transmission lines and unstable supply for plunging their neighborhoods into darkness.
So I'm using by day, which I'm supposed to have that light 24 hours because I'm paying for it. You understand? Which by now, as I'm talking to you like this, since on Sunday evening, our lights have issue. We ask, they say na transformer, and nobody go there since that time to even do anything about it. You know, which is very bad. Today is Thursday. More than like 4 days now, we are in darkness in that area.
Energy experts say the problem goes beyond local distribution faults and reflect deeper challenges within Nigeria's power generation system. One analyst links the current nationwide drop in electricity supply to a serious shortage of gas-feeding thermal power plants, which produce most of the country's electricity. Industry figures show that many plants are currently receiving less than 43% of the gas needed to operate at full capacity. The shortfall is tied to several issues, including upstream production constraints, pipeline vandalism, and outstanding debt owed by power generation companies to gas suppliers.
But the solution is clear. If we are owing a major player in the sector, make arrangement to pay them so that they can continue to supply gas, because gas is a major component of electricity generation. If the generating companies cannot get gas, it means that they cannot fire their plants, and if they cannot fire their plants, you cannot push electricity into the grid.
Nigeria has already recorded 2 national grid collapses this year, on January 23rd and January 27th, blamed largely on technical fault and aging transmission infrastructure. As of 2026, Nigeria's operational electricity generation stands at about 4,985.70 megawatts, far below the country's installed capacity of 13,625 megawatts. Although the national transmission grid has a technical capacity of about 8,700 megawatts, gas shortages and infrastructure damage continue to limit actual output. Power generation has also been affected by low water levels at major hydroelectric dams, including Kainji Dam, Jeba Dam, and Shiroro Dam. Until electricity supply improves, many small business owners say they will keep relying on generators despite the rising cost of fuel just to keep their work going. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, residents of Minna, Niger State, on Thursday staged a peaceful protest over persistent power outage and what they called exploitative estimated electricity billing by the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, ADC. Led by human rights activist Lanre Sadiq, the demonstrators, including civil society and youth groups, marched through major streets to demand improved electricity supply and immediate deployment of prepared meters. Sadiq condemned estimated billing, saying many households pay inflated bills, some as high as 46,000 per month, despite unreliable power supply. Human rights campaigner Abdullahi Jabi added that poor electricity has hampered businesses and worsened insecurity in communities. Respondent Samuel Odikina, acting managing director of ADC's Niger State office, acknowledged the concerns and promised to improve supply while reminding consumers that electricity must be paid for. The protest, which began at Tunga Roundabout, ended at ADC's regional office on UK Bello Road, where residents formally presented their demands. Residents of Hadejia in Jigawa State staged a peaceful protest on Tuesday demanding justice for Walida Abdulhadi, who was allegedly abducted by a DSS officer, Ifeanyi. Lawyers, women's groups, and civil society organizations marched through the town and submitted a petition at the palace of the Emir of Hadejia, expressing outrage over attempts to release the suspects. Dr. Hussaini Shehu, leading the protest, said the community is determined to see the alleged offender brought to justice, insisting that no one is above the law. The Emirate Council assured the case will be closely monitored and that appropriate action will be taken. Walida's lawyer, Barrister Kabiru Adamu, clarified that she is 18 years old, disputing reports that she was 22 at the time of the alleged abduction, and vowed to ensure the DSS officer faces legal consequences. Now, registered members and stakeholders of the African Democratic Congress on Thursday staged a peaceful protest at the Federal High Court of Nigeria in Abuja, calling for Joyce Abdul-Malik to withdraw from cases involving the party and other opposition groups. Operating under the banner of ADC registered members and stakeholders, the protesters urged the Chief Justice of Nigeria and other judicial authorities to reassign the matter to another judge in order to maintain public confidence in the legal process. The demonstration took place ahead of a scheduled court hearing involving the party. Speaking during the protest, the group's national president, Anthony Ola, appealed to the leadership of the judiciary to take steps they believe will preserve trust in the judicial system.
As we can see, these are responsible Nigerians, lovers of democracy, who have come out in their numbers to fight for the survival of democracy in this country. As we can see, democracy is under threat in Nigeria. And that's why all of them have left their workplaces, their homes. Some are even fasting to come out to say this, to the Nigerian people. The matter here is very simple. We have discovered that Justice Joyce Abdul-Malik has been bought over by the ruling government. We have discovered that she's not only biased, she has decided to help in destroying our democracy, the hard-earned democracy that Nigerians suffered for. And that will not be acceptable. It will not be acceptable to Nigerians.
We are passing vote of no confidence on Justice Abdul-Malik. She's already compromised. We don't have confidence in her. Yes, her previous conduct have shown she was the one that sent El-Rufai, the opposition leader, and Malami. She has taken. You check her record, you know that she does not conform in the tenets of democracy in this country. So the woman is being sponsored by APC. The woman is being manipulated by Wike. Wike has sworn that nobody will contest against Bola Tinubu. Yes. And we want to sound it as note of warning. Today we are issuing an ultimatum that today Justice Abdul-Malik should recuse herself from that case that involves ADC. That we need a more moral, justified judge.
The Kano State House of Assembly has commenced proceedings to impeach the state's Deputy Governor, Comrade Abdulsalam Aminu Gwarzo. The motion, moved by Majority Leader Lawan Hussaini, follows a petition alleging irregularities during Gwarzo's tenure as Commissioner for Local Government Affairs between 2023 and 2024. Speaker Jibrin Falgore said the Assembly may constitute an investigative panel to examine the allegations and make recommendations. The Deputy Governor, who has refused to join the Governor's defection to the All Progressives Congress earlier this year and has been absent from government activities, has been given 2 weeks to respond to the allegations. Lawmakers say the impeachment process follows constitutional provision for alleged gross misconduct and aims to ensure accountability in public office.
By the Kano State House of Assembly in compliance with Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended against Aminu Abdulsalam, contained herein allegation of gross misconduct, abuse of office, and breach of public trust arising from his actions when he oversees the Ministry for Local Government as Commissioner between 2023 and 2024, and while serving as Deputy Governor of Kano State, all of which are impeachable offences. I acknowledge the receipts of this document, and I plead to serve him with written allegations construed against him to defend himself. Let it be known that this matter will be handled with the utmost seriousness, transparency, and due process. All subsequent steps will be strictly guided by the provision of the Constitution of the Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, with detailed procedure for the removal of the executive officer.
Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court of Nigeria in Abuja has discharged and acquitted suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari of a 23-count charge of alleged non-declaration of asset filed by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Kyari was arraigned alongside two of his brothers who were accused of swearing to false affidavit in an attempt to conceal the origin of some properties. In his judgment, Justice Omotosho ruled that the NDLEA failed to provide sufficient evidence to prove the allegations, particularly claims that Kyari owned landed properties in Abuja. The judge said the prosecution did not establish ownership of properties in Fountain Estate, Karsana, said to belong to Kyari's wife, nor link him to properties on Linda Choko Road in Asokoro or in Maiduguri, Borno State. Kyari maintained that the Borno properties belonged to his late father and were inherited by the family, a claim the court said the prosecution failed to disprove. Justice Omotosho described the NDLEA's case as weak and lacking credible evidence, adding that Kyari should not be subjected to persecution. Now, every day, Nigerians see deductions from their accounts for transfers, deposits, and payments. One charge that often goes unnoticed is the stamp duty. Across the country, every transaction, electronic or in person, attracts this fee. While 50 naira may seem small, across millions of daily transactions, the total adds up. On the streets of Lagos, Nigerians are calling for accountability and transparency on how this revenue is used. The report.
For years, Nigerians have watched as various banking charges appear on their phones daily. From transfer fees to service charges, deductions have become a normal part of everyday financial activity. But one charge has raised concern: the stamp duty. Collected by the federal government, it applies to certain financial transactions. For every transaction of 10,000 naira and above, an additional 15 naira is deducted. While 15 naira may seem small, when multiplied across millions of transactions every day, the revenue becomes significant. Speaking on the streets of Lagos, Nigerians are questioning why, with such large amounts collected daily from both rich and poor citizens, the government still borrows from other countries. In a country where every naira counts, many believe the government owes its citizens clarity on how these deductions are used to improve public services and infrastructure.
One thing is clear. In every society, there are rules. If the rule of the government is that we should pay stamp duty, you have to pay. The only thing we will do as citizens is to make sure that the money is being used for the purpose it is meant for. Are you with me? Because there are many responsibilities that the government will have to carry out. We have to talk about payment of salary for the security people, road repairs, and many other things. The charge is too much. And in loading there's not like this. Due to what is happening now in our country now, that charge is too much. It's too much. It's too much. All past governments, they are not charging us like this. So we don't know what's happening. And our source of income is very low.
The point is that Nigerians don't ask the right questions, all right? So over a period of how many years, that stamp duty charge has persisted on every account, on every transaction that has happened. You get enormous deductions. Of course, the bank charge theirs, and then there is VAT to pay as well as the stamp duty. Nigerians are not asking the right questions. I think our loan right now is over how many trillions?
Common man has always been the person that at the end that is suffering at the end of every government policy. There is no accountability on the part of the government as to where the 50 naira that is taken from our account is taken to. There's no publication. We cannot access how our money is being spent.
Stamp duty may seem like just 15 naira per transaction, but across millions of Nigerians, it represents a substantial public resource. As daily financial activities continue, citizens are calling for clear information on how this revenue benefits the nation for everyone, rich and poor, including students.
Now, the tax deadline 2026 is drawing close for residents of Abuja as the Federal Capital Territory Internal Revenue Service sets March 31st as the last day to file 2025 personal income tax returns. Under the new tax law, filing is now mandatory for every income earner, including workers already under payee, traders, consultants, and even those with little or no taxable income. Abdullahi Ahmed explains what Abuja residents must know before the deadline.
Residents of the Federal Capital Territory have been directed by the Federal Capital Territory Inland Revenue Service to file their 2025 personal income tax returns on or before the 31st of March 2026. Now, this directive is backed by the new Nigeria Tax Administration Act of 2025. And here's what that means for you. First, this applies to anyone earning an income in Abuja. If you are a salaried worker under payee, which is the pay as you earn, you must still file your tax return. If you are a self-employed individual, a trader, a consultant, or operate in the informal sector, yes, you must still file your tax return. Public office holders are also covered. Even those earning below 800,000 naira annually must still submit what is called a nil return. Now, what this means is you get to declare your income even if you do not owe the government any taxes. Now, the key change under the new tax law is this. Tax deduction is no longer enough. Filing an annual tax return is now mandatory. The deadline is March 31st, 2026. It covers income earned between January 1st and December 31st of 2025. The 90-day filing window is fixed by law, and failure to comply will attract penalties. Now, defaulters may face a best of judgment assessment where the tax authority estimates what you owe. There is also a 25,000 naira penalty for the first 5 months of default and a 5,000 naira additional charges for each month. Now, unpaid taxes will attract interest at commercial rates. Further legal action, according to the government, is also possible. Now, in simple terms, the new tax regime places responsibility directly on you to declare your income annually. If you live and work in Abuja, filing your tax return is no longer optional. It is now a legal requirement.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break. Neglect threatens growth of Agangaro Border Market. This plus more when we return. Just stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining, this is News Hour on Trust TV. In case you missed it, let's recap our top stories again. We told you that Boko Haram kills soldiers, abducts women, children in Borno. An electricity shortage hits hard across Nigeria. Small business struggles. Now move on to more stories. The Kano State Police Command has arrested a suspect for circulating inflammatory audio and video clips aimed at inciting public disorder. Commissioner of Police Ibrahim Adamu Bakori said the suspect is currently under interrogation and will face the full weight of the law once investigations are concluded. He condemned the spread of false information and warned that anyone involved in such acts will be prosecuted. Also addressing journalists, Commissioner for Information Abdullahi Weya urged community leaders, religious figures, and traditional rulers to promote peace and understanding among residents. Authorities assured the public that adequate security measures are in place, stressing that there is no cause for alarm.
The command will not tolerate any form of hate speech, incitement, or violence. Meanwhile, adequate security measures have been put in place to prevent any breach of peace and ensure the safety of all residents. The command is working closely with other security agencies to monitor the situation and respond promptly to any incident and assure the public that there is no cause for alarm.
The rumor that has been going on and been circulated, especially on social media, regarding a plan by some individuals who are hell-bent on disrupting the peace of the state. so much hell-bent that they're spreading the rumors that there's going to be a process tomorrow, which is meant to disrupt the commercial and economic activities in the state. As far as the Kano State government is concerned, we are doing everything possible to ensure that this situation is under control, and we are also trying to counter this kind of narrative which has for long been going on in the state.
As political parties begin nationwide electronic membership registration to expand their base and strengthen internal structures, the initiative has generated mixed reactions among stakeholders. While some see it as a step towards transparency and modernization, others have raised concerns about its implementation, especially in rural communities. Bello Musa completes this report.
The initiative follows the enforcement of Section 77 of the Electoral Act 2026, which mandates political parties to maintain a fully digital membership register. In Kaduna State, political parties have already commenced electronic registration of members in a bid to comply with the timeline stipulated by the law. However, the transition from the traditional manual system to a digital platform has sparked concerns among some stakeholders.
That is why the party every day they have been bringing security security upgrade of the platform.
A significant portion of Nigerians' population resides in rural communities where access to reliable internet and telecommunication services remains limited. This has raised questions about how the digital registration process will effectively capture party members in such areas.
A disadvantage sometimes could be where there's no network, where there is network challenge, most especially in the remote areas or the rural areas, where you have a chunk and a large number of people who would ordinarily want to be members of the party, but for the lack of possibly network or having data challenges because of the remote area of nature of the remote area, that could also hinder the continued registration of members via the e-registration.
Political analysts and civil society actors have also expressed concern over the possibility of manipulation during the exercise. They warn that without adequate transparency and monitoring mechanisms, the process could be vulnerable to interference by party officials or other political interests.
The issue we have in the first day of the registration, some people started to misuse the opportunity. You see somebody register with the name of tinubu or even Trump or somebody else. So that is why even the party brought the have to upgrade the security of making the registration.
Because there is a fear about that the ruling party or the party in power may try to use it to intimidate the politicians who are in opposition. But looking at the importance of the e-registration itself, it limits their interference in as long as we have what we call independence of INEC. Political parties or ruling party will have limited interference in the activities or the internal democracy of other political parties. So it doesn't give room.
Stakeholders say that while electronic membership registration could strengthen internal party democracy and improve transparency in Nigeria's electoral system, its success will depend largely on accessibility, public confidence, and the effective implementation of the digital framework. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
For decades, a Gangaro border market in Jibia local government area has served as a lifeline for farmers, livestock dealers, and grain merchants across Katsina State and beyond. But today, traders say the market that sustains thousands of families has been left to decay, crippled by absence of basic infrastructure. Trust TV's Abdullahi Hamadi reports.
Twice every week, specifically Sundays and Wednesdays, Aganguru border market comes alive. From the early hours of the morning, traders separate their grains on mats, livestock dealers display their animals under the open sky, and buyers move from one corner to another in search of the best bargains. But beneath the vibrant activity lies a troubling reality. There are no permanent stalls to shield traders from the scorching sun or heavy rains. Once dark clouds gather, panic sets in. Traders hurriedly pack their goods, fearing sudden rainfall that could destroy their commodities and wipe out their profits. During the rainy season, business often ends abruptly, not because buyers are gone, but because the market offers no protection. The livestock section tells a similar story. There is no proper fencing, exposing animals to theft and making crowd control difficult. There is also no functional slaughter slab, forcing butchers to operate in challenging and sometimes unsafe conditions. For many traders here, the neglect is painful. Strategically positioned at the edge of Katsina State, the Agangoro border market is meant to be a major driver of commerce, linking communities and boosting economic activities across the region. But today, we say the lack of basic infrastructure is slowly crippling our businesses. Business activities are often cut short, especially during rainfall, due to the absence of market stalls to protect our goods. The livestock section has no proper fencing, while the lack of a functional slaughter slab continues to make operations difficult for butchers and livestock dealers. They say for decades, the market has generated revenue for the local government and boosted economic activity in the area. Yet, little has been done to modernize or upgrade the facilities. Agangaro is not just a local market. Its border location makes it a hub for cross-border trade. Traders from neighboring Niger frequently patronize the market, bringing livestock and purchasing grains in large quantities. Residents say agricultural produce and animals are often sold here at prices lower than in many parts of Katsina State and even northern Nigeria, making it a vital center for food supply and commerce. But without investment in infrastructure, traders fear the market may gradually lose its competitive edge. Now, they are appealing to authorities in Jibia local government and the Katsina state government to come to their rescue by constructing stalls, fencing the livestock market, providing a proper slaughter facility, and upgrading the overall structure. Agangaro market means a great deal to both the authorities and the trading community, serving as a source of livelihood for hundreds of families. Now, we are passionately appealing to authorities in Jibia local government area and the Katsina state government to urgently intervene. We want the government to address the issue of market stalls, fence the livestock section, and construct a proper slaughter slab. These are steps we believe will bring relief to traders and allow the market to reach its full potential. For these traders, it is not just about business. It is about survival, dignity, and protecting a market that has sustained generations. Abdullahi Isma Yamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
The Senate Public Accounts Committee has ordered the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to refund 210 trillion over unexplained and irregular financial records spanning 2017 to 2023. Chairman of the committee, Aliu Wadada, revealed that 103 trillion in accrued expenses and 107 trillion in sundry receivables could not be accounted for. The committee also highlighted duplicated subsidy costs, inflated production expenses, and a 5.9 billion spent solely to change the company's name, action it deemed unacceptable.
Under ideal accounting principle, it would have been liability subtracted from asset. But in this case, the liability figure is unacceptable to the committee because of the contradictions in the explanations, and also the asset figure, which is the accrued receivables, 107 trillion, is also not acceptable as well to the committee. So NNPC should and must account for the two figures. Then the two figures put together make up 210 trillion. The second resolution of the committee, that the NNPCL should refund to Treasury all production costs charged against crude oil revenue for the period under review, since the NNPC and its subsidiaries, NAPIMS and Co., do not directly produce crude oil.
Meanwhile, the panel has resolved to summon both past and present NNPCL and NAPIM's management along with their auditors to explain the discrepancies. It also directed the Auditor General of the Federation to conduct a forensic audit to ensure transparency and proper management of public funds.
Immediate past management of NNPC and NAPIMS and their auditors to be led by the present NNPCL management to provide clearer explanations regarding how these infractions happened, which will further enable the committee to take measures that will forestall future occurrences in the management of public funds. Immediate management of NNPC and NAPIMS, here what we are saying, immediate past management is, of course, Mele Kari as the Group Managing Director, Umar Ajia as the Chief Financial Officer, and Bala Wunti as the then GGM NAPIMS.
And now to international. A U.S. submarine has sunk an Iranian warship, the Aris Dena, off the coast of Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka Navy confirmed 87 bodies recovered and 32 survivors rescued from the vessel, which carried 180 crew members. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth described the attack as one of the few submarine strikes since World War II. He said the warship, considered a prize ship of Iran's Navy, was hit in international waters as part of ongoing U.S.-Israeli operations against Iran. And now it's time for us to join Adeni Ajishafe for Sport News.
Nigerian volleyball teams, Nigerian Customs Service and Vipers Volleyball Club delivered impressive performances at the ongoing 2026 CAF B Zone 3 Volleyball Club Championship in Ghana. In the women's category, Nigerian Customs Service secured a 3-1 win over Ghana Immigration Volleyball Club in their first match. The reigning CGC Volleyball Premier League champion also recorded a dominant 3-0 win over AS Douanes Volleyball Club of Burkina Faso. 2025 Division 1 champions Viper Volleyball Club equally show impressive performance by beating Dynamic Volleyball Club of Benin Republic by also overcoming Sonabel Volleyball Club of Burkina Faso. Meanwhile, in men's event, Nigerian Customs Service continued their winning run, defeating All-Star Volleyball Club of Benin Republic. In wheelchair basketball, Nigerian Wheelchair Basketball Federation has invited 16 players to a closed camping program ahead of the 2026 Commonwealth Games qualifier in Angola. National camp will take place at Package B of MK Abiola Stadium from 8th to 24th March. Players. The women's team include Aisha Yahaya, Grace Nwauzuzu, and Folashade Obagbemi. The Commonwealth Games wheelchair basketball qualifier will take place in Luanda, Angola from 22nd to 27 March. The 2026 IWBF African 3x3 Championship serves as the Commonwealth Games qualifiers. WAFCON 2026 to run from 25th July to 16 August 2026. CAF confirmed that the tournament, originally fixed for 17 March to 3rd April in Morocco, will now take place later in the year following consultations with key stakeholders. CAF decided to reschedule the dates to ensure success of women's competition in the light of unforeseen circumstances. With the new dates confirmed, attention will shift to final preparations as Morocco prepares to stage the African Women's Football Tournament in July-August 2026. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we wrap today's News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news. I am Fatima Ahmed Musa from me and the crew. Thank you for watching.